game number 1. It's MTW Dimaga against Gosu Vibe. We head on over to Antiga Shipyard.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a ZVZ here on cross positions, of course. Those are the only ones available. And you know what? I got to say, just coming straight into this match, man, personally, I got to give him a favorite to Dimaga because this guy's ZVZ is unreal. He's like the only player to have taken out Nesty in a televised match, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, he smashed in the world, the Korea versus the world. Is that what you're talking about? That
yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I just remember he beat Nesty, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, Nesty never loses ZVZ. What's going on?"
That was crazy, and I think the score was something crazy like 8-7. Foreigners lost against Koreans.
Wow.
And it was, you know, just the top foreigners against the top Koreans at the time. That was some epic stuff. I remember, you know, TT1 at the time. I was on his team. He defeated Nada. That was really, really big. Some just huge names in that tournament, but I'm straying off a little bit from this game. Dimaga, yes, in that tournament, he destroyed Nesty, and it was awesome.
He's amazing, man. It's always fun to watch him win. He's like, this is like fist pump, and he just looks so excited about it. It's great to see that enthusiasm.
He looks exactly like every Ukrainian is pictured in every single television show. Like, that's exactly what Dimaga is. And
trying to think of any television shows that have Ukrainian.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. That stereotypical Ukrainian or that Russian or whatever you want to call it. But I won't go any further into that. Now let's move on over to this game. It looks like Vibe is going for the 15 hatcher, whereas Dimaga is going for 16.
Wow.
Different.
Yeah, a little bit risky in ZVZ to go for that 16 hatch just a little bit later. We'll give him that higher, economy with that extra drone. But, with the hatchery later, of course, the pool and gas being a little bit later as well. It could be risky against some type of early pool build. However, luckily for him, since Vibe is going hatchery first, and I mean, this is a map choice, man. I mean, on Antiga Shipyard, you know how easy the natural is to defend, and thus he's expecting Vibe's going to go for the 15 hatch, and thus he's going to try to get just a tiny leg up by going for the 16 hatch instead.
You can see, actually, the overlords of Dimaga are being very, very poorly placed. This is only cross position. I think he just forgot. I was actually playing against you, Orb, recently, and I was playing on Antiga Shipyard, and I scouted all the different directions.
So did I.
Because I'm stupid. Sometimes you just forget about it, because you practice on ladder for so long.
Right, exactly.
And you just get used to it. So.
Yeah, or maybe you don't remember, like, which version and which tournament. A lot of these players are playing in an insane number of tournaments.
Yeah.
So different tournaments, some of them will have cross positions, some of them won't, etc. So just a little minor mistake. Won't be too big of a deal, though. He still will be able to get those overlords into position to watch that attack path through the center of the map. In time, but the pools are finishing for both players here, and I'm curious to see, are they both going to leave drones on gas? Are they going to be pulling those off? It looks like actually Vibe has kept his drones on gas all 3 after 100, so he might just be trying to rush out those banelings as quickly as possible defensively, but so has Vibe actually. So you know what, both players look like they might just be going for some heavy early banning shenanigans, or of course you could just use those that gas to rush up some roaches and try to play defensively like that.
Normally do you see banelings, of course, because I think banelings have better attacking options, while roaches are just really slow in cross positions. Maybe if they're in slightly shorter positions, or let's say another map like Zelnaga Caverns, that would be a lot better. But in this case, I don't think that's going to happen. Banelings are the weapon of choice for both these players. Look
at that, Ling Bling's going to be on the way here, man. So it is just going to be a Zergling Baneling. Of course, with cross positions, it's even harder to use roaches effectively due to that long rush distance and how slow they are, of course. So by the time you get to your opponent's base, of course, they can get some spines up. They can get roaches of their own up. So that's why it can be a little bit more difficult to use, whereas, of course, Banelings can be a lot more effective because you can just run your Speedlings across the map, then morph in the Banelings right outside your opponent's base or inside if you get lucky enough to hide some Lings in there, and it can be a lot more effective. But essentially with both players going Banelings now, there's probably not going to be too much, I mean, there might be a lot of damage, but since they both have Banelings, they both have the possibility to be aggressive or play defensively. So it looks like they're both just droning up a bit for now. We actually see 4 more Lings on the way for Dimaga, but Vibe, 5 more drones on the way. So Vibe is feeling very confident with his own Baneling nest. He's just going to throw down that 1 spine crawler, continue to drone up, and try to get a slight, economic lead here coming in the big game. Yeah,
very interesting to throw down that spine crawler. I know Vibe, after talking with him, he does enjoy that, just that added little defense. He can play a little bit more defensive, go more of a defensive Baneling Zergling style. But Dimaga, I know, there he goes, put down his spine crawler. I know for a fact Dimaga loved to play his ZVZs very, very defensive in this early game stage. He does Zergling Baneling. He pushes out if he really thinks he has a shot at doing anything at all, or if he feels his drone count is too low. But after that, he goes for the roaches, usually a +1 timing roach, just to scout it and feel his opponent out.
Yeah, I mean, it can be really difficult to actually pull off those roach shenanigans in the early game. Sometimes you can get countered really hard by, those Zergling counterattacks or Banelings. But, you know, right now it looks like Vibe just went for some scouting, sent those Lings into Dimaga's base, and then just pulled them right back out. Just wanted to see exactly what he was going for, saw that Baneling Nest. He didn't see the second gas going down with the lair, though, so we do see that as soon as that Zerglings was popped out, that Dimaga decided, all right, now's the time. He's not scouting anymore. I'm going to go ahead and tech up very quickly. Whereas Vibe, meanwhile, is not going for a lair just yet, even though he has 3 gas. He's going for a Roach Horn and Evo Chamber, and look at that placement, man. I love that SimCity he's creating.
Yeah, SimCity's looking really good. The Roach Horn, of course, Evolution Chip just blocking off completely. That stops Zerglings from actually going straight through. It just adds to denying of the scout so that, you know, his own Zerglings can just be placed there, zoning out that area, and just, as I said, denying scouting information.
Now, what's interesting here, man, is that it looks like, you know, while Vibe went Roaches into lair here with a slightly later lair and quad gas, instead, we see Dimaga went straight from Zergling Baneling straight into that lair with no Roach Horn at all. So, you know, do you think this might signify that instead of going up to something like Infestor with Roach Infestor, he'll just try to rush out those mutas and go for that play instead?
Yeah, that's what we're seeing. Now, this is a very interesting style. Mutas, I think, are getting a lot more popular. We have been seeing a huge surge of mutas in recent ZVZ plays, and it's just all to do with those timings. They're figuring out when the optimal timing for that +1 attack to finish. They're trying to get out and have the necessary defense. Although I don't think it's best just to mass on 2 base. What Dimaga will do is just try to keep getting expansion from this. It's really, really tricky. It's that really fine line between, you know, getting my mutas out and not dying and doing damage and not dying to just mass roaches, them just doing way too much DPS for me to handle.
Right. One of my favorite, you know, aspects of that playstyle is that when you get a couple mutas out, you don't necessarily have to go run over, try to do damage. I mean, there are going to be queens, possibly spores or hydras defending, but you can pick off every single overlord in the middle of the map, man. And that is a ton. Zerg players are always leaving their overlords all over the place to watch that attack path. So if you can pick off a lot of overlords, not only can he, you know, supply block his opponent, but also remove all that map control, which will give Dimaga a great advantage, especially with his third base already on the way. Now that was spotted though by the overlord of Vibe, so Vibe knows exactly what he's up against.
Yeah, and we'll see what Vibe does. I would think he does a +1 timing at this point. He's actually getting Hydralisk, he's getting Grew Spines, the +1 is almost finished. The Zerglings are going to come in here and surround a lot of these roaches. This is a big win, but the Baneling is going to come over here. It doesn't get a lot of Zerglings, and finally the Zerglings are going to have to run away. One thing I have to say about Vibe and going a Roach Hydra strategy that you'll always have an advantage is your upgrades, because Dimaga has to split his upgrades. He has to put some into air, some into ground. Right. He can't get everything all nice, you know. He'll always be two-shotted with his Zerglings, that being said. So it is a little bit of a problem. If Vibe gets good upgrades, we're going to see him just explode every single battle. I feel like Dimaga might be more and more inefficient. He needs to really utilize this mobility coming in right here.
Yeah, he is coming in right now. Interestingly, Vibe actually took that extractor before the hatchery. Not sure what he was doing with that, but it looks like the Hydras for Vibe are going to be defending pretty well at that third base, but Dimaga will be able to run into the main. Now, there is already a spore, 2 spores and a queen in place, so he should be pretty well defended. Actually, he's running onto the natural. A couple of these buildings a little bit undefended. Might be able to pick off this Baneling. There we go. He does get a Baneling. Trying to do some damage to the Roach Horn or the Evo Chamber, but there are Hydras in position, so it looks like he's going to be forced back again. But yet again, he's just keeping Vibe in his base and keeping him playing defensively. You know, with Dimaga having the earlier third, he's going to get a great economic lead there, and unless Vibe can apply that pressure, which he's unable to do since he's so contained, then that will give Dimaga a great lead coming in the late game.
Yeah, one thing, you know, Dimaga has to be careful. I know it looks good for him at this point, but if Vibe gets that critical 200 army, he's already getting that +2. Oh my gosh, Pathogen Glands coming out. Infestors will be so useful against mutas if they're clumped up like they are right now. So, you know what, Dimaga, all he has to worry about is that big push coming in. A lot of times how Zergs deal with that is mass spine crawlers. Although we don't see a great creep spread coming out from Dimaga just yet, I think he really needs to work on that, get a creep tumor out, and start making those spine crawlers. Yeah,
man, he doesn't have a single creep tumor this entire game, so not even connection between his main and that, let alone between his main and third. But he is continuing the muta production. He's actually doing mass muta. He didn't just make a couple to go, you know, apply pressure and contain his opponent, kill off overlords. He's actually fully committing himself to this mutalist strategy, and that could be a mistake because, you know, as we've seen, if an infestor comes out and all the mutas are stacked, one fungal, all of a sudden the Hydras can kill the mutas and stay out of range. And you can just lose every single muta like that. And there we go. 3 infestors are on the way here for Vibe. So this could be extremely dangerous for Dimaga. He's going to have absolutely flawless control. And the reason, I mean, it's so risky. Even if you have really good control, it's like all you have to do is make one mistake. One mistake and accidentally stack up your mutas and get fungled, and the game's over, man.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to I want to show you, 21 mutas out in the field, that's great and everything, but 72 drones, and I feel like, you know, for 3 bases, for only 6 gas, you don't need so many drones when you're going to a muta build. You know, everything is going to be bottlenecked into that gas, and we can see that he's only at, what is that, 704 right now? I think it should be slightly higher, to be around 720. I think one of his gases doesn't have not ultimate.
Yeah, all 3 drones.
All 3 drones.
It looks like they all have them.
They do. All right.
It's a little bit strange, but yeah, I mean, he's a little bit oversaturated on the minerals in his main and his third, I believe. So yeah, you're right. I mean, maybe you could have that drone count be a little bit lower, but look at what he's doing now. He's double expanding. Oh my gosh, to the 1 o'clock position and of course that 2 o'clock position. And there, the actual Zerglings from Vibe actually see this, so he knows exactly what's going on, at least about this one base. You know, check for the other one with this other Ling, but you know, this is a pretty risky move for Dimaga. But of course, what he's doing with these mutas, keeping Vibe contained for so long, is going to work out really well. The problem is, it's right now 194 to 166, so Dimaga's investing quite a lot of money into those expansions, and he might be in some trouble if Vibe comes forward with this huge army.
Yeah, and he still doesn't have the spine crawlers set up. Now he does have, it looks like Lings. Are they speedlings?
Mass banelings, man.
Banelings, excuse me.
He's massing banelings, and yes, he has the speed. I saw him upgrading that earlier. But what scares me about that is, of course, with the infestors fungaling. Now, what's great about this is, remember that with the last change, with the fungal change, you know, the damage nerf, however long ago that was, you know, you actually take 2 fungals to kill banelings. They don't instantly die right now. So this could actually be pretty good to burn off some of those fungals that they can't be used on those mutas.
Yeah, it used to be only 1, and it would be the most LOL thing to even make banelings. It's like, wow, you are a stupid noob. Now, not the case. Here's the biggest problem, though. He doesn't have great spine crawler positioning because these Destructive Rock, Antiga Shipyard, not the best map for, you know, holding this third necessarily. You need to do it with a lot of movement, but here we go. And it looks like the Hydras are from behind the creep spread, isn't there for those banelings, and that's exactly what he wants. So Dimaga might be in a lot of trouble. They don't want to splatter across these roaches, but here we go. Oh my god, big fungal growths go off. The mutas are just placed in the same area. Banelings are being stopped from actually connecting with those Hydras. And is it going to be enough? Yes, it will. Vibe will end up losing the battle. A very surprising victory, I think, for Dimaga. Very
well done by Dimaga there. I mean, he brought in his banelings in waves, as you saw. He didn't just send them all in one clump. So he brought them in waves, and the fungals kept going down, and critically also he kept all of his mutas very well spread out. So it wasn't just like one fungal and all of his mutas couldn't engage because they were out of range. No, they were all in range attacking that entire time, and the banelings streamed in, and Vibe did not have enough infestors, so he couldn't fungal them all. And now here come the reinforcements, and Dimaga has an unbelievable advantage right now. Infestors are sharking around for Vibe. They're going to have to unburrow, but they do not have enough for fungals, so all they can do is throw out on a couple infested Terrans. Now he does have quite a few roaches here, but not a good response to those mutas still. So Vibe is still in a lot of trouble, and with Dimaga having the 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock bases up, once he gets those, I mean, he doesn't have any drones on there now, but once he gets those droned up, he's going to have a ridiculous economic advantage, not to mention the macro advantage of having so many hatcheries.
But you know what? I think Dimaga just gave away a little bit of a timing now because he lost a lot of Zerglings from that. He needed to make those Zerglings into banelings. It was very important that he does that. Instead, he's actually increasing the muta count. I know he has to get the muta count up there, but here we go. Vibe is going to press on yet again. He doesn't have a lot of Hydras in this, but, you know, his opponent doesn't have a ton of mutas. Remember that Vibe has the upgrade advantage. He's at 2-1 right now. Let's look at Dimaga's. Dimaga's air is at 1-1, and his ground is at 0-0. So those Zerglings virtually do 0 damage. You should not be sending in Zerglings at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult to do that damage. Of course, the banelings aren't going to do quite as much either. You know, and his muta count is getting higher and higher. He is starting to replenish those, so he's back up towards, you know, that full control group of 24. So that will be really difficult for Vibe to deal with. I mean, he only has 3 infestors with this group, and what is that? Actually 14 Hydras, so he has replenished the Hydra count quite a bit. But of course, if the banelings can roll in, if he reproduces those, actually, he doesn't have that many right now, or if any, there we go, he's producing somewhere over at the top right. If those roll in, pick off the Hydras, it's going to be absolutely critical, because then Mutex can pick off everything that's left over. So right now, he needs to get those banelings onto the Hydras, but we can see the fungal, great fungal goes off on a lot of the Mutex, and on the banelings, he's going to get the refungal. The banelings are still streaming in, doing quite a bit of splash damage to the roaches, and it looks like the Mutex are picking off every single Hydra, and oh my gosh, Vibe no longer has any anti-air once these Hydras go down, but oh my god, these Mutex are so unbelievably low. Maybe like one more fungal. He doesn't have the energy, though, and you know, Vibe might end up losing the rest of his army, but remember how slowly Mutas kill roaches. These roaches can do a ton of damage in the meantime.
And the roaches are just going uncontested. They don't have any counter on the field. Dimaga is looking in so much trouble. All of a sudden, the tides have turned. Dimaga at one point looked so good after cleaning up that Hydra Roach army. Now he's facing a loss in this first game. Oh my goodness. The supplies are 114 now to 177. Vibe is looking really good in game number 1.
Yeah, he's, I mean, this game is completely flipped upside down, man. He's way in the lead, but here we go at a counterattack from Dimaga doing quite a bit of damage at the gold base. Will it be enough, though? The Hydra reinforcements are coming over here. Oh my god, he moves all his mutas in, and they get bungled. All of them stack up. He doesn't have that many even, so it's not that big of a deal, I guess, but he's still going to lose them. And that is a really big deal, man, to lose all those mutas and just be that far behind when he's already lost his base over, his third base there. He lost so many of his units, doesn't have all those banelings ready to go. And it seems like Dimaga's fallen apart a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about mutas, you cannot lose anything because it's kind of like you need everything to snowball. You need to get that snowballing advantage because as soon as you start trading, oh my god, what do you reinvest in? Mutas are so expensive, and my Zerglings, my ground force is not nicely developed. I don't have the ability to actually defend or do anything with just mass Zergling Roach even. If we go back to the upgrades, 0-0 still on ground, and it looks like Vibe is researching his +3 attack missiles, or missile attack. He's still at 2-1, but still, that 2-1 is, 3 upgrades ahead of all the ground of Vibe.
Yeah, and I love the way he's using Burrow as well. Unfortunately, those Roaches will be taken out now, but he's using some Burrowed Roaches to avoid the army of Dimaga. And it looks like he's just going to move forward, force some aggression over here at these 2 bases of Dimaga right now. They're not that well defended. He has his army over at the right side. He's going to bring them in. Will he have enough, though? There are so many Hydras and Infestors and Mutals. They're clumped up. Oh my god, 1 Fungal gets every single Mutalist. This is terrible for Dimaga right now.
Yeah, he's going to string those Fungal Growths together, making sure that those Mutas just get obliterated. There, every single Mutalist go. Dimaga does not have a long life in this world for this game, I should say, on the Antiga Shipyard.
Nice counterattack, though, man, at the gold base, using these Zerglings to pick off quite a few drones. I don't know if it'll be enough since Vibe is still so far ahead on the food, though. You are right. It is not looking like Dimaga's going to be able to stay alive in this game very long. Look at that, burrowing the drones as well. Cute move there by Vibe.
Yep, Vibe again expanding to the bottom middle expansion. Now the mid-right expansion is being under attack by Vibe. Vibe is just cleaning up everything so fast. Banelings trying to splatter across those Hydras, but just cannot fit through. There's just way too much DPS. Now Overseers get in the mix. I don't even think that any of these units will even burrow. Dimaga should tap out pretty soon because his window is absolutely shut closed.
Yeah, I mean, his main is mined out. His natural is essentially mined out. He's really only mining off that third, and he has such a low drone count, 31 drones to 61 right now. So he's unbelievably far behind. He does have a little bit of creep speed, but not enough. No, actually, complaining about some lag issues. That's really unfortunate, but it's still a game that he still made some decisions there, not necessarily based on lag, that were just a little bit subpar. In any case, there it is. GG. Game 1 to Vibe. And there you have it. Vibe has taken game number 1. Very well played. Looked like he was in some trouble at some points in that game, but Dimaga maybe made just a couple little missteps, attacking at that spot outside the third of Vibe and losing a lot of his army there. I feel like was the #1 mistake in that game.
Yeah, as I was talking about before, the upgrades are so important, and Vibe had great upgrades in that game. Going with those Zerglings, they do virtually 0 damage. So just morph them into Banelings. Yes, they don't do as much damage if they do have upgrades, but still they do a lot more than Zerglings that deal 3 damage every single time.
Yeah, so, if he had gone for those bands, maybe we would have seen a different scenario, but he did continue pumping all of his gas into those mutas. May have been, another one of those mistakes. Who knows? But you know what? That means that Vibe is taking game number 1. Very well played. We're moving into game 2 to see if Dimaga can make the comeback.